Let me tell you something that may sting a little, but it's a truth we've got to face if we're ever going to live a life of strength, purpose, and unshakable resilience. Good times create weak people. And I want you to think about what that really means. Because we live in a time right now where comfort is king, convenience rules. And everywhere you turn, you've got devices, systems, and institutions designed to make life easier. We've engineered a world where everything is at our fingertips. And what's the result? More people than ever walking around feeling empty, purposeless, anxious, depressed, and powerless. Isn't that wild? We've got more abundance, more technology, more luxury, and yet people are struggling more internally than ever before. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. That's the cost of progress when we forget what made us strong in the first place. It's not hardship that destroys us. It's the absence of it. It's the illusion that the absence of struggle means we're winning. That's a lie. The truth is, strength comes from challenge. Power comes from pressure. And when you remove the struggle, when you take away the friction, when you live in a world that constantly cushions you from pain, you stop growing. You stop reaching. You stop becoming. Because growth doesn't live in comfort. Growth lives in the unknown. Growth lives in resistance. Growth lives in doing what's difficult over and over again. So when I say good times create weak people, I'm not saying we should wish for disaster or pain. I'm saying we should never lose the fire, never lose the hunger, because that hunger, that edge, that's what makes you alive. That's what builds resilience. That's what separates people who achieve greatness from those who coast through life, hoping to avoid discomfort at all costs. Weakness is not just physical frailty. It's a mindset. It's when you allow life's ease to soften your discipline. It's when you choose distraction over direction. It's when you trade meaningful effort for mindless entertainment. And the problem is, our culture celebrates comfort like it's the ultimate prize. But I'll tell you the truth. The ultimate prize is who you become by pushing through the hard times, not avoiding them. You see, hard times forge strong people, and strong people create good times. That's the cycle. Think about history. Think about the generations that came before us, the ones who survived wars, depressions, oppression, brutality. They didn't have the luxuries we have. They didn't have the safety nets. They didn't have social media or instant gratification. But what they had was grit. They had courage. They had the capacity to sacrifice, to endure, to fight for a better tomorrow. And because of their strength, they built a world where many of us no longer have to fight like they did. But here's the paradox. Without that same pressure, many of us lose the very traits that made them strong. Now, I'm not here to shame people. I'm here to awaken them. Because if you want to live an extraordinary life, you can't rely on circumstances to shape you. You have to choose to be strong, even when things are easy. You have to manufacture your own adversity. You have to create your own challenges. You have to raise your standards so high that the world can't help but respond to the power of your example. You've got to train like a warrior in a world that wants you to become passive. Because passivity is poison. Passivity is the slow death of potential. And what kills potential faster than anything else? A life without challenge. A life where everything's been handed to you. A life where you never have to dig deep. Look, I've coached millions of people over the years, from billionaires to athletes to everyday men and women trying to transform their lives. And I'll tell you this, the people who grow the most are the ones who face the most. Not because life was easy, but because they decided to become bigger than their circumstances. They didn't ask for comfort. They asked for clarity. They didn't look for shortcuts. They looked for the truth. And the truth always demands something from you. It demands effort. It demands integrity. It demands perseverance. It demands that you show up every single day and do the work, especially when it's hard, especially when no one's watching, especially when quitting would be so much easier. We're not meant to live soft lives. We're meant to stretch, to evolve, to transform. But if you live in a bubble of constant ease, where nothing ever challenges you, where every frustration is avoided or numbed, then you lose your edge, you lose your fire, and eventually you lose your identity. Because identity is forged in the fire of challenge. You only learn who you really are when you're tested, when your back's against the wall, when there's no one coming to save you. That's when your true character is revealed. That's when strength is born, not in the sunshine, but in the storm. So don't curse the storm. Use it, embrace it, lean into it, because the storm will show you what you're made of. It will carve away the parts of you that are weak and build the parts that are unbreakable. And that's what the world needs right now. Not more convenience, not more comfort, but more people who are unbreakable. People who are rooted in purpose. People who have the capacity to lead, to build, to serve, to stand strong even when everything around them is falling apart. That kind of strength doesn't happen by accident. It's cultivated, it's earned. It's a choice you make every single day to show up and face what's hard instead of running from it. And I want to challenge you right now. What are you running from? What parts of your life have become too easy, too predictable, too safe? Where are you choosing comfort over courage? Because that's the place where your greatness is dying. That's the place where your potential is being strangled by convenience. And you've got to wake up to that. You've got to reclaim your fire. You've got to remember that you weren't born for ease. You were born for impact. And impact is forged in action. Relentless, disciplined, intentional action. If you want to rise above mediocrity, if you want to be the one who breaks the cycle, who reclaims strength in a world gone soft, then you've got to take control of your mind. Your mind is the battlefield. That's where the war is won or lost. Because if you train your mind to seek challenge, to love the process, to embrace the grind, then no circumstance can break you. But if your mind is soft, if it seeks only what's pleasurable, if it avoids pain at all costs, then life will crush you the moment things get hard. And they will get hard. That's a promise. But that's not something to fear. It's something to prepare for. Good times are not bad. But what they do to people who aren't grounded, who aren't disciplined, who aren't rooted in values and mission, they seduce them into apathy. And apathy is the precursor to decay. It's the seed of downfall. That's why every civilization, every empire that became too comfortable, too indulgent, too self-absorbed, they all fell. Not because they were attacked from the outside, but because they collapsed from within. They forgot what made them great. They lost their hunger. They lost their strength. They got too used to the good times and weren't ready for the storm. But you don't have to be like that. You can be the exception. You can choose to live differently. You can choose to live with intensity, with hunger, with gratitude, with discipline. You can choose to train your body, your mind, your spirit, not because life is hard right now, but because you know it will be. And you want to be ready. You want to be unshakable. You want to be the kind of person that others can lean on when the world gets chaotic. Because make no mistake, it will get chaotic. It always does. But the people who thrive in chaos are the ones who prepared during peace. The people who rise are the ones who didn't waste the good times. They used them to become stronger, wiser, better. So I'll ask you again, what are you doing with your good times? Are you wasting them in distraction, indulgence, and complacency? Or are you using them to train, to grow, to sharpen your edge? Are you building the strength you'll need for the storms ahead? Because they're coming. And the people who will thrive in those storms are the ones who embrace discipline when everyone else chose ease. They're the ones who created internal power when the external world was soft. They're the ones who refuse to let the good times weaken them. Be that person, choose that path, because it's not about avoiding weakness, it's about outgrowing it. It's about rising above it. It's about becoming so mentally, emotionally, and spiritually resilient that nothing can take you out. That's the kind of strength the world needs. That's the kind of strength you're capable of. And that's the kind of strength that's forged not in good times, but in what you choose to do with them.